Hello, hello. Welcome to another Drama is Life, where we talk about the history of mental health on what was, what currently is going on, and what could be happening in the future if nothing changes. Hello, I am your host, Theresa White, the CEO and founder of In Time Creative Counseling Services located here in Terre Haute, Indiana, where we offer in person group sessions and we also offer telehealth for adolescents and adults. If you want more information about our services, though, go to our website because we had a good topic tonight and a wonderful guest as well.
Hopefully.
So, with this month, as we've been talking about, this is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so, again, not just 1 month only, but I definitely want us to have a conversation with this special guest about men and their view on mental health. So, right now, you probably are used to, if you're anywhere in the Terre Haute area, you're used to the table being flipped. And, he's interviewing, but I get a chance to interview him. So, welcome,
Thank you.
Rondrell Moore, for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm honored. I seriously am honored to be here. I've seen your interviews in the past, and this is such an important topic. And so, anything that I can give to hopefully contribute, that's my goal. But just thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. So again, we have News 10, Rondrell Moore, but I'm gonna read his bio. I ain't gonna go. So Rondrell Moore is a Terre Haute native. He graduated from Indiana State University in 2008 with a bachelor's degree in communications. He minored in Spanish. We got bilingual going on. Rondrell began his career as a journalist at WTHI TV in the same year. His current title is that of an evening anchor. During his time at WTHI TV, he has received awards from the Associated Press and nominations from the Ohio Valley Regional Emmy chapter for his reports. He's great. Rondrell is a lifelong member of Saints Home Church of God in Christ, where he serves as an elder and a minister of music. He loves working with young people. He's the youngest of 3 children, and he enjoys spending time with his family. Yes. And so again, welcome. I'm going to just say again, as I said to y'all before, this is so modest. First of all, he graduated summa cum laude.
Here comes this.
I just want to let y'all know this is huge, okay? Because anytime our men are doing great things, we want to definitely make sure that we celebrate them and honor them. So he graduated summa cum laude. All of his family are brilliant, so let's just say that. So I'm sorry, so let me calm down. Welcome, Elder Rondrell Moore.
Thank you so much, and it's always interesting, and I think maybe we can touch on that a little bit. I have a very hard time. You asked me, and full disclosure, she asked me to write a bio. I have such a hard time talking about myself. I really do, because it's like, you know who I am, and if you don't know who I am, then, have a conversation with me, and then you'll figure it out. But I don't want to brag on myself, because I just feel like, I really, and that's one of those things that I think, honestly, talking about mental health in men, I think that's something that's, as I think about it, kind of built in to us. This idea that, stay humble, and definitely we want to stay humble, but there can be a fine line between humility and lack of self-confidence, which
absolutely
can be harmful, I think, as you move forward. So I wrestle with that. I do. I wrestle with, should I say this? Should I not say this? I don't want to give too much, but I don't want to give enough, so it's struggle's real sometimes.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Absolutely. And I talk for a living. So, well, I listen for a living. Let me clarify that. So I guess with that, I definitely want to start the conversation. So with regards to it being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, it's very evident that, as I stated in the earlier of this month, that our men are neglected when it comes to healthcare all around. And I don't know if that's necessarily just on our end, on the opposite end of where men are, if it's both. So I would love to hear your view, I guess, in history. What did you learn about mental health as a young man?
So, I think you have kind of these 2 things being true at the same time, right? We're taught that it's important to talk out your feelings, especially when I was coming up. It was so important to, if there's something going on, you need to be able to express it. And so I was encouraged in my household. I was definitely encouraged to speak different things. But at the same time, I saw that wasn't happening in so many places. And so whereas in one space I would be encouraged to speak out, when it came to school, when it came to, and I'm going to say church, I don't mean necessarily all parts of church, but I mean young people's groups, the boys who were like me, it was definitely discouraged. I'd raise my hand and I'd say something. Why is he always talking? He talks all the time. There was always that idea that men were to be strong, men were to be in control, men were to be silent. Women talked. Women talk. They're the ones, they get in circles and, they talk, girl, you hear this, that. Men, when men were talking too much, and you have that kind of idea set that if there's a group of people talking and, it's a bunch of women and the men's all there with them too, talking at the same time, what's wrong with him? Why can't he stop talking? And so a lot of times I saw, and this wasn't everywhere, but in the Black community, I saw in different circles, it was the expectation that men were kind of just like the strong, silent type. And so that can kind of cause a dichotomy because, like I said, I was told and I was trained, and thankfully so, expressing is very good, but I didn't necessarily see that in culture all over the place. So.
And I wonder if that same encouragement was given to all men in the culture, because and as we had our conversation with Pastor Terry Clark, that in some generations men were told, men don't cry, men don't express emotion, men, like you said, the silent type, you are to be quiet, you are to be seen and just be a strong presence.
Oh, and I 100% heard that myself, growing up. I've always, you never had to guess how I was feeling. You never had. If I was upset, you always go about it. If I was happy, you know about it, all those wonderful things. And so you do hear at a certain point, don't cry, stop. Why are you crying? And you're taught, not taught, but you just kind of through osmosis, through society, I guess, you kind of take in because I don't want to seem like somebody was preaching to me like, don't cry, don't. Whatever, but you definitely observe the difference of how men are treated by society when they cry in public and when they don't. You absolutely will see when somebody's kind of like, nobody may say a whole lot, but there's something wrong with them, because why is he, the whole thing is, I feel for him, but why is he crying like that, whereas, oh man, he shook that off. He took it like a champ, oh man, he took that hit like he walked it off. There's more respect when you can, kind of take her. And I understand that because obviously from how, the needs of how Black men have always been, there's this need to be overly strong to take on so much of the expectation of the world. I understand why that is the way that is. And I admire when I see men that have that strength to be able to, I don't want to say not express their feelings, but just to be able to take on what seems like terrifying situations and just persevere. I think perseverance is a very positive trait. I think the way in which some people have been taught to do so, could be difficult in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to read a couple of statistics. Both of these are from the National Institute of Minority Health and Health Disparities. African American men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than African American women are. So even when we talk about the culture of African Americans, I want to read another one too before I have you respond. Sure. Suicide is a leading cause of death among African Americans, period. 15 to 24. Yeah, that's that part.
Wow.
Yeah. And these, again, as we talk about statistics, you all, these are old statistics, which means that by the time they come out, they're already changing. The age actually is less, as we talked about before. The youngest age of someone committing suicide is like, I think 4 or 5. So that just breaks your heart. Anyway, untreated mental illness can also make African American men more vulnerable to substance abuse, homelessness, incarceration, and homicide. So I would love to hear your thoughts on those statistics.
I mean, it makes me speechless. Obviously, it's hard to put that into words. I mean, stats are something, because obviously I work in a field where we have stats all the time, and there are a lot of times it comes across our desk stats from different groups, and they have different agendas when they're putting those across, and so we have to kind of sift through who's saying what and why they're saying, blah 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 blah. But I think when you look at something that is so impactful and so weighty, just the words of that, you're talking about suicide. You're talking about the number one cause of death, and that is a very different narrative than you may hear. And I choose my words when I say that. I think that it's alarming. I think that it's uncomfortable. I think it's unpleasant. Unfortunately, as I think about it, it's not surprising. And here's why it's not surprising. When you have been put in a space, when you've been subjugated to all of the terrors that we have been as a minority, and I'm not just speaking about Black people as the only group that's ever, had some sort of adversity, but I'm saying that in this specific case, the type, the brutality, for centuries that have had to been that we've had to go through, and then on top of that, you add in the expectations to thrive in a society as though nothing has happened, and to be able to walk through and navigate your daily life as though, oh yeah, these instances of trauma never happened. And don't bring it up, because we don't want to, that's a separate issue. But honestly, not being allowed to speak what you're feeling is going to cause an issue.
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of going back to the original thing that we talked about, not being able to express. And we have been, for whatever reason, conditioned not to speak out how we're feeling in constructive ways a lot of times. And so when we talk about this idea of mental health issues and young Black people, young Black men falling victim to the symptoms of mental health issues, I think that's where we have to have that conversation, which is, what is mental health and what are mental health issues? It's not just necessarily being taken away in a straitjacket and taken to an asylum. It's feeling sad for days straight and not knowing why. It's feeling frustrated anytime somebody says your name the wrong way. That's not a comfortable way to be. And so when you have those issues, being okay with talking about it, speaking with it, friends, family, somebody, and just talking about it. Like I said, we've come from a space where that's not always encouraged. And I really want to stress, I don't know that anybody from a school standpoint, from a mother standpoint, from a church standpoint, would tell you, we tell our young men don't talk. I don't think anybody's saying that, because that would be very everybody would be on that immediately. But there's a difference. There's a dichotomy between what is said and what is done. And the feedback that you get when you speak out versus the feedback you get when you don't. There's a reason that people don't speak out as often as they do, because there's the feedback they're getting is more positive for them when they don't.
And when you said that, I thought about even like you just mentioned with the walk it off. Again, going through trauma, going through the conflicts of life, even as a man. I mean, I'm not a man, so but as an African American woman. So again, being that mentality, or being told, walk it off. If you are mistreated by authority, if you are mistreated by anybody, I need you to take it in and walk it off. And again, I know that's a sport term, with walking it off. I hear that with football and all kind of other things, but it's like, it's also a life expectation of men. I need you to just go walk that away, walk that. And it's like, what?
Well, and I mean, because there's a sense of correctness in that, to a certain extent. I mean, what else can you do if you don't have the tools or the skills to properly communicate your issues, and you don't have a source, or you feel like you don't have a source to speak to, you feel like you don't have somebody? What else can you do? You can sit there and stew, you can sit there, whatever, or you can just keep walking, And again, I think that a lot of these teachings and a lot of these cultural norms were built out of necessity. I don't necessarily put it on one person over the other saying that anybody was malicious with this intent. I just think that the system was so messed up that this was the coping that we've had. And so thank God we're just now getting to a space to where we can say to our young Black men, hey, it's okay if you were hurt by that. I saw the baseball hit you in the face.
Right.
That's painful. You can cry about it. You're not going to get kicked off the team. You know, you're not going to lose your job. Your parents aren't going to abandon you. You're going to be all right. But it's okay if you cry right now. You're 7 and somebody just punched you in the face. You know, those are emotions that other cultures may have had more ability to be okay with that. And I'm not saying that that's happened everywhere. I'm not saying that at all. But I just know in our community, in a lot of spaces, that was not okay.
Yeah. For
whatever reason. And I think it's just when you talk about a generational situation, you know, you've spoken with Dr. Clark, and he's a lot more proficient when it comes to the history of slavery than I would be. But from my understanding and just from my learning, you know, back in slave days, there was this idea of teaching strength so much to the point to where, and that's both for Black men and Black women, that, you know, not letting the oppressor see you in a vulnerable state was crucial for survival. It wasn't I don't want to let you know how I feel because I don't like you. It was in order for us to survive, little Johnny, straighten up. Don't act up. You can't have a tantrum right now, because if the master comes through and you're like, they will take you away. So I'm going to tap you and I'm going to get you together right now, because if I don't, somebody else will right now. And so there's this idea of straighten up. Don't let people see that. Don't let them see you sweat. Straighten up. Come on, do it right, because this is how we survive. And I think there are remnants of that still.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a theory.
No, I definitely think that's a very true theory that probably is, as again, with the statistics, it's been studied, right? Like that's not just a theory, it's been proven, science. So how is that showing up now? How is that survival? Like, don't show your emotion. This is a survival technique or a mechanism. How is that showing up in men now?
I think one thing that's interesting when you talk about manhood growing up, what is it to be a man? And, you know, I think a lot of people, if you were to ask them at different ages, they would have different versions of what it means to be a man. And I think for a lot of men, that means different things. But I think that the safe emotion for men, for me, for whomever growing up, is calm, reserve, strong, silent, and anger. Anger is fine. If you're upset about something, you can be angry. Man, that really irritated, that made me mad, blah, blah. You know, yeah, he's speaking up, he's asserting, he's being aggressive, he's showing himself, you know, blah, 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 blah. Those are things that when channeled the correct way, you know, he gets things done. He's a go-getter. He's motivated. He's not going to take no for an answer. Those are things where, and then again, if you flip that on and put that on a woman, then that's very problematic, societally speaking, but that's a separate situation. It's a separate situation completely. But those are emotions that are fine, you know, anger, which can flip to aggression. Well, it's not fine for a Black man to be aggressive in a lot of spaces.
Absolutely.
It really isn't. And so there is this muzzle, the subconscious muzzle that's placed on a lot of time. I remember recently I went to a fast food place, and so help me, I was just looking out the windshield. I really was. I was just looking, just waiting for my food. I don't know what kind of facial expression I had. And the woman gave me my food. She said, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She's like, "You just look so angry." And I was like, I'm literally just looking right now. I'm just looking. And I don't know if I wasn't smiling like this, like, hey, you know, I don't know if that was an issue, but it was literally just you just look so mad. Well, and so of course at that point I got irritated, because I'm like, you know, wow, but then I had to remember, okay, she already thinks you're angry, so you can't actually show this emotion of irritation like you want to right now, because she's going to say, see, he's angry again. And so I don't know what that was all about. I don't know her story. I don't know why she put that on me. I don't know how I looked at that moment. Sometimes we can't see ourselves. But I just remember feeling very much like, man, I cannot express my emotion in my car while I'm getting food.
Wow.
Without somebody thinking that I'm angry. And with the things that have happened in the last, centuries, but that have been publicized within the last few years, I am very aware of how I come across to people who don't know me, and to people who may misunderstand my actions or misunderstand my intent. And so that's something in the back of my mind. So I can't speak for everybody's experience, for every man's experience, but I know if I'm going through it, other people are too.
Yeah.
You know, and it's annoying. It's difficult.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like, because I was gonna say, even if you were angry,
yeah,
that's okay.
That's fine.
Like, let me I want to get that, and I'm not trying to laugh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I laugh things off because I'm like, again, the message that we're giving, please express your emotion, but are you okay?
Yes.
Wait, if I'm not, then how are you gonna handle it?
Yes.
If I'm not okay, your response to me already in the way that you're asking is saying that it's not okay for me to express how I'm feeling. If I am in my own car, if I'm mad about, man, I just got some bad news. Who knows what just happened? That in that case, you're not the person that I would shut. Well, yeah, I just got some bad news. No. Like, I would.
I actually want my food so I can go.
Right.
I appreciate. I appreciate the concern. I appreciate the thought. I really do. But please give me my fries so I can leave.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm so like, why are you asking about my emotional state? Can I get my food?
Not the time of the play. And I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think there's something to that, because I think, if you think societally speaking, the idea of trusting people to be able to confide in a weak space, those opportunities have been so few and far between, because we've seen it used against us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just learning to trust in general, take away this whole idea of race and this whole idea of oppression and all this stuff. Anybody learning to trust is difficult. Somebody's not your family, and then if you've had trauma, if you've had family issues, I'm not going to trust anybody to speak to, so I'm going to bottle that in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you at the fast food, you're not the person that I'm going to open up to the first time. And even if your intents are right, and God bless, because she may have been very concerned, but that just wasn't the right space.
Right.
That really wasn't the right space, which is why I just want to throw this in here. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful for people like you, women of color, Black women who have decided, okay, I'm going to go into this area and I'm going to be a beacon, honestly, a lighthouse for people who never would have considered the idea that there are some mental issues that I'm dealing with that I might need to discuss, because those aren't Black people problems. Those are other people problems. Yes. We don't deal with those things. We don't deal with anxiety. We don't deal with depression, with anger. We don't deal with stress. We don't have panic attacks. We don't deal with those things at all.
We call that stigma. Yeah. And I mean, that's the wonderful word that we use. So let me make sure. So yeah, the stigma of mental health is not a part of us.
Yeah.
And again, hear the word health, right? But if you say mental health, I actually hear mental illness.
Yes.
I don't hear health. I hear illness.
Yes.
And it's just interesting because, again, even as a Black woman, it's like the persona of aggression. Don't you be, again, the term we talked about in the angry Black woman. Don't you? If I'm assertive, then I'm really being aggressive. Is how it's seen. It's like, no, I'm just trying to tell you how I feel. So also, I got to be quiet in certain spaces. And that's frustrating, which is why I not only do therapy, but the type of therapy that I do, the embodiment, the drama therapy and psychodrama, to help people to be able to release that in a healthy space, because we need it. I mean, again, so we're dying. So let's just say the truth of what really is happening. Whether you are dying and don't nobody see it, you're dying internally. You are walking zombies in the world, and you internally are skeletons. You don't have life in you, because everything that would show life, emotions, is shut down. And when you said that term, I mean, with are you angry? And I thought strong men, strong emotions, but only one is acceptable.
Right. And you have to be very careful how you use it. You have to be very careful what is used and what is not used. We have become so proficient at wearing a mask. We have become so good at hiding our emotions, and not even just hiding them, but manipulating our own emotions to get out the one that's going to be the most socially acceptable for that moment. And I think some of that is a self-fulfilling prophecy that, okay, you're always going to be like this. You're the angry Black person. You're this, that. So it turns into that, okay, well, since they say that I am, let me put this on. Let me don my emotions so that I can be this. Because that's what they want me to be. That's what they expect me to be. So why should I buck the norm and do what I want to do when it's just so much easier? I don't have to fight everybody all the time. I can just say, all right, you think I'm going to be upset? You think I'm going to be angry? Let me give you angry. Let me give you upset. That way, one of us can be happy because that's what you want to see in me. And it's such a shame because I think you can get to a point to where you've done it for so long that that true inner self is lost. And that's when people really need to speak to you. They really need to speak to somebody that can help them say, you know, it is okay. Yeah, you didn't feel like being angry at that moment. You actually felt like crying at that time. And to hear that as a 20-something-year-old Black man that wants to prove that he is the most masculine person in the world, that doesn't compute. That because there's nothing that in your childhood that has told you that crying is okay. Or acceptable. Unless, and like Reverend Clark said the other day, unless like your mother died or something like, unless it's something extreme, you know, but you didn't get the job. You lost the basketball game. Your girlfriend left you. You stubbed your toe. You know, you're just irritated by everything that's happening in the country and you feel like your voice isn't being heard. Those are emotional moments that in time and space can make you cry. Now, I don't think anybody thinks that, you know, just going around in every single place and just crying as much as you can all the time is healthy, because no, nobody's saying that. But there are moments in your life, one person put it, every day there should come a moment in your life where your emotions well you up to the point to where tears come out. And I'm thinking, man, that's a lot. But when you think about it, 24 hours in a day, that's a lot of time. Like I said, you don't have to do it. I'm not going to get on the news and say, good evening, and start bawling, you know, but a moment in your day where something emotionally gets you to that point, sometimes people need it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? And this is, you know, my analogy that I always give, and I'm gonna keep repeating it because I want you guys to hear it. The same way you take in food. If I drink all this water, right? This ain't a lot, y'all. It's not a lot. I'm trying to do better with my water. But if I drink a lot of water and I never go to the bathroom, I mean, I only drank this one, and I'm saying it's only one thing. It's only, you know, you know, it's okay. It's okay that I took this much in. I think I can hold it, right? I got it, and I'm just, and I'm sitting over here like, "Is you okay?" I'm like, "I'm good. I'm good." Everything, And even though my voice, again, as you said earlier, with regards to what's said and what's done, is not matching. I'm sitting over here like, "I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay, y'all." You're like, clearly your body, your system is saying you're not. Your system is saying a release is needed because you have something toxic happening. And your system knows best to say, we don't need this no more. We've taken the good out of it. Because don't get me wrong, we as African Americans, as a society, there's a lot of strength in us. And we don't want to take that away by any means. We want you to be strong. We want you to persevere, continue to use adaptable skills that are for survival, but also understand that your health, your life is worth surviving. It's not just worth surviving, it's worth living, thriving in, and not just kind of coasting through because again, we're living out history's triggers of, I don't know who to trust. And if you gon', you know, lock me up again with regards to these statistics, if me giving my expression of what's happening or releasing what's happening in me is going to give me another negative slap. And just like the whips that were actually physical, now these are emotional whips. Oh, you show anger, Rondrell, boom. And then you're like, whoa, how'd you put that on my back? I was just looking out the windshield, right? You're, now you're all quiet. Because again, quiet is also seen as a lot of young men that I've talked to. Quiet is also seen as aggression. It's aggression, yes. He said, why he's so quiet? Oh, he's plotting. He's got an attitude. Right, yeah. Either I'm strong and silent or I'm aggressive and silent. Like, I'm trying to figure out which one, and only you get to decide what that is. Yeah. Not you as the person. The society around you says, nope, you're silent or you're angry. Oh, nope, you're silent. Oh, he's strong. So I'm like, I can't please anybody or everybody, because there's always a statement in action that are misconstrued.
And the thing about it is that it's so difficult when you don't have a proper guide, when you don't have somebody that can say, like I said, I was incredibly blessed in my household to hear expressing your emotions are okay. And I know for a fact that that was not taught at every household. I know that.
Absolutely.
And so you see the results of that ever. And I'm not saying that to say like, oh, yeah, look at me. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that even with those moments of being told, hey, you can express yourself, I still dealt with not feeling like I could.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just keep it 100% real. We talk about Jesus and how he went to the Garden of Gethsemane and he prayed until the sweat felt like blood, and how he went to himself to pray and he took care of himself. Jesus gave himself, quote unquote, self-care. Now his self was Son of God and that sort of thing. It's a different self than us, but he's in us. So Jesus took time to take care of himself. So a lot of times you may get the impression that, okay, if you are taking care of yourself, that is a selfish act. That is an action that shows weakness. That is an action that is counterproductive to society because we have to give of ourselves. So it doesn't necessarily just take the form of anger for men.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes the form of complete self-neglect and this complete feeling of, and that was kind of more so my if I could say it, I don't want to say issue, but that was my space of, I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to disappoint anybody. Because if I do, then I failed in my duty as a man. I failed in my duty. I've got to take on all these responsibilities. When nobody's saying that I had to do any of it. Nobody was saying it. It was me. I put that on myself. But this idea of societal pressure, okay, who much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
So, Rondrell, you can sing, you can do this, you can do blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, I got to use this. I got to do this. I got to do this. Because if I don't, I'm failing. I'm failing. And so that's an issue. I want to say this. And I thank God for my upbringing. I thank God for the church. I thank God for all of those things. I am so glad that we as a church and just the body of Christ in general are starting to open ourselves to the idea of therapy and to the idea of mental health. I'm so excited. That's why another reason I'm so excited that you're doing this. Somebody brought up an amazing analogy. When there are mental health issues, that is a medical issue. It is not a fairy tale. It is not a figment of your imagination. I believe that there are spiritual components to everything. So I believe that prayer is always important with anything that comes with it. But in the same way that when you break your arm, and I see you break your arm, and I just say the blood of Jesus, and I believe God is going to heal you, and I just walk away. And God said, the sick need a physician.
Right.
We need to get you some help.
Yes.
We need to get you, because God works through, say what you will about this, whatever. God works through the physician. God has given expertise to people. And the mind, we're learning so much that we didn't know.
Yes.
That there are so many things that we thought, oh, that's just who they are. No, there's an imbalance. There's like a chemical imbalance that is medically treatable. That means that there's a deficiency that will help you. So pray that God touches, and God will touch, and take them to the doctor.
Yes. Touch my legs and put me in a car.
Come on now.
Turn these keys so I can. Yes.
Both of those things exist, because
Absolutely.
I believe that when God talks about faith, if we could do it ourselves, Jesus wouldn't have been sent to this earth. He said, your faith has made you whole, but it wasn't her faith in herself. Yeah. It was her faith in someone else who had the ability to do it.
Yes. That's a good point. Absolutely.
And God given other people the ability to help. And if we put our faith not in them per se, but if we put it in God who has given the ability, I say all of that because I know that the Black community, the church community, they have been at odds with the idea of mental health for so many years. And I'm just so grateful that in recent times, it seems as though we may be, kind of opening up to certain things. That's good to hear.
Absolutely. Which again, as we talked about before, if I didn't say this already, those are our target audiences, the African American community, especially in our faith base, because of what's happening in our system.
Yes.
And then, as we said before, pastors are committing suicide, deacons are committing suicide, your children that people don't want to tell about are committing suicide or attempting or having thoughts, and you don't even know, because we're not expressing. And being and again, sometimes we express through song, we express through different means that are what we call societally acceptable.
Right.
But again, there's also other ways that our emotions, tears, are your body's natural way of expressing what's already on the inside. They are there to express emotion, which is what tears are for. And of course, they clean your eyes out.
Yeah,
but
that's also fair.
but again, hear that though. They clean your view. The organ that takes care of what you see. But if you're not crying, then that means everything that you see can be dirty, can be cloudy, can be dusty, even what I see in other people. Because I'm not releasing and allowing my system to heal and do what it's made to do, what God created it to do, because I got it. Okay, yep, you sure do got it. And you are allowed to keep it if you want to. Because again, we, even as a mental health a therapist and a counselor, I can't make people give me anything. It's like you can keep it if you want, but there's also another way that you don't have to lead into literally destruction if you continue on the path. And so anyway, I appreciate that viewpoint, because that's very true. Even when we talk about health in our hope in our faith, it's not in ourselves.
No,
you know, I believe you can sing. If I can't, Elder Rondrell, please sing this song. I believe you can do it. Right?
Put your faith in God, not in this. Trust God, not this.
But he the one with the voice. So anyway, let me leave. I'm gonna leave him alone. So, and again, I know that we can talk all day about this. I do want to hear, kind of as we are getting ready to close, that what do you do? What are some skills that you have learned to say, okay, this is how I take care of my health?
Sure. Cognizance. And when I say that, being aware. We go through our routines and we go through our loops where we go through, get up, you get in the shower, you pray, you watch TV, you eat, you go to work, rinse, repeat. And you do that and you fall into a cycle. And as you go, you just start picking up all these things. Boy, that person's really getting on my nerves. I am so stressed out. Oh, I can't sleep. Okay, I'll just watch this on YouTube and then I'll go to sleep to that. And we pick up all of these things. I'm anxious. I'm worried. Why am I so worried? I'm just worried all the time. I'm not praying enough. Let me pray some more. I pray. God did it. Thank God he did it. And so then another loop happens again and again. And suddenly you get to the space where I'm just not happy. Why am I not happy? What is going on? And so you get into these cycles where you forget what it means to actually be whole and to be healthy. And, speaking very briefly from a spiritual standpoint, it's an insidious trick of the enemy to do that. Because again, there are components to all this stuff. What he does is he makes us unaware. He makes us unaware of ourselves. He makes us unaware of what we can be. And in many ways, most importantly, he makes us unaware of the fact that we can get help. And so for me, I'm a talker. So the best way to put me in a space of help is to give me somebody who I can trust, that I can talk to. And sometimes that's family. Sometimes that's other people that are more proficient in certain specific areas. But it's the ability to be able to say and express, and to hopefully be able to voice it to somebody that says you're not alone. Or even if I don't understand it exactly, I get it. I get that you're upset right now, because we've all been upset. I get that you're worried. I get that you're scared. And so for me, if I'm isolating myself, that's a bad sign. If you go a few days without hearing from me and you're my close family, whatever, and the people who know me know, they call, hey, what's going on? That sort of thing. It's so important because you can't do it with yourself. You can't. You honestly cannot. So that's really important. Other things, it sounds basic, but exercise, eating right, getting enough sleep, drinking water. I'm not great at those things. I'm not always great at those things, but honestly, you feel better.
Absolutely.
You really do when you get out there and, hey, it's 12 o'clock for me. I get off work at 11:30. So, 12:30, I'm going to go to bed, as opposed to 2:30, 3:30. I wake up at 9. I'm like, hey, I'm refreshed. I drunk some water. I went for a little walk. I lifted weights, whatever. I play tennis. You feel good about yourself. And there's nothing wrong with feeling like you've accomplished something.
Yes.
And just doing something to get out of your thoughts, get out of that loop. For me, that's how I do it. Obviously, prayer, and that should have been the first thing that I said.
You said prayer.
Okay, good. I don't ever want to discount that, because if there's nothing else that I can do, I know that I can go to God, because sometimes those things aren't available to me. And the Bible says that he's a very present help in the time of trouble. So when you're in trouble, and it's serious trouble, God will do something right then, and he'll get you.
Yes.
But here's the thing. God will do something for you right then, but then he gives you strength to get the help you need.
Yeah.
I think about the woman that was being condemned by everybody. They were throwing stones at her and all that. And Jesus said, where are your condemners? She said, nowhere. And he said, I don't condemn you. Go your way. But it didn't end there. He said, do not sin again.
Right.
So she still had something that she had to do.
Yeah.
God can help and God can touch and deliver, but he still gives us the strength to do something about it. And honest to goodness, if it gets to that point, which in my opinion, and she didn't pay me to say this, but in my opinion, I think every single person would benefit from talking to somebody who knows how to deal with mental health issues at some point.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know a person living who hasn't had a mental health issue. I don't know a person living. And I think learning the skills to cope with it is never a bad thing.
I agree. It's interesting because one of the things that we learned we was in school, and I don't even know what class. I think it was our diagnostics class, learning all the disorders and going through this big book. And I'm going to show y'all this book.
All right, I want to see it.
And this is the new one.
Oh my! Oof.
And this is the book. As you can see, it's not even open yet. That's how brand new it is. This is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. I want you to know that every medical professional is using the same book. From your doctors to your psychiatrists, to your mental health therapists. We all study the same book of medical, and they're the ones who write it. We're the ones who write it. I say that because everything in here, I said, I don't know one person in the world that would match something in there, because that's also a sad thing too. I know. But we said that in class, like everybody matches something in this book, whether it's anxiety or, social phobias, whatever the case. All these things. And it's because we've all had issues in our lives. And even when I'm getting a new job and I may be like, okay, I'm trying to go and I don't know how this interview is going to go. It's okay to go and get counsel. The reason why you talk to somebody and you go to and say, hey, can you do a mock interview with me? It's so that you can, again, process and work that out. That doesn't mean that I am what they say is crazy or that I'm severely mentally ill. That just means that I'm trying to work through something. I want to get from one side of something to the other side, and counseling can do just that. So I say that because I agree. This book sometimes is
it seems like a lot.
It's a problem. Sometimes, and I will admit, a lot of us that's working in the field is like, no, I don't. Everybody doesn't fit this mold either, because culture definitely matters. And sometimes you'll look at this book or look at the symptoms, or you said the actions of what is being seen. And if you look at it outside of culture, outside the context, then you will definitely misrepresent. Oh, he was angry. Well, if you got the context that I was looking out the window trying to see what color that car was, and I was like, what in the world? If you got all the context, you would have misrepresented or misdiagnosed the situation and even asked me.
Right.
So anyway, I say that because that's huge. So we're not gonna get in this soapbox,
Well, no, because I was gonna say, because it's obvious, that it's incredibly helpful. I would just say to my young brothers or whoever's out there that may be listening, If you don't feel comfortable going to a therapist or somebody, because, for a lot of people, that's a step. That's a major step.
It is. Absolutely.
Talk to somebody. There is somebody in your life that has some sense. There's somebody in your life that knows what you're going through. There's somebody that can at least relate.
Yes.
And there is, I'm just saying that like, whatever, but there is, there hopefully is somebody that can understand what you're going through.
Absolutely.
And that can take 15, 20 minutes and just listen to you. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you the times that just literally getting it out, getting it from here to here was exactly what I needed. Wasn't even an issue. I was upset today. Why are you upset? Well, such and such did such and such today, and I thought that they were talking about blah, 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 and that they meant something bad. And then I say it out loud, and I'm like, actually, no, now that I think about it, that doesn't make sense because they weren't even talking to me there. They were actually doing something. You know what? Never mind. And so, just something as simple as that, your parents, your friends, your girlfriend, your whoever, somebody that can just get something out, that will help. And that'll get these, you said, all that stuff that's just stuck there. You got all this stuff trapped. Those are ways that you can release. Mm-hmm. Now, some things you need somebody that can really kind of help you out in that space. But a lot of things, boy, I can't imagine what life would be if we didn't have just each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
On a day-to-day basis.
We, in this case, sometimes it's unfortunate. We hurt in relationships or get wounded, but we also heal in relationships. Mm-hmm. So the same way when we talk about grief and losing somebody, that loss of a relationship is painful. And the only way to heal it is to build relationships. That's a grief topic. We'll talk about it. But again, people typically isolate, and that's what's the danger. No, I need you to connect with me. I need you to get back in relationship. Whether that's I need to now connect with my cousins or need to call my mother more. I need, whatever that is. I need that connection because we're social beings and we're meant to be in relationship. First of all, with ourselves, with our spiritual father. And I say not necessarily on the earth, but I mean heavenly, spiritual father, and with each other. We're meant to be in relationship. And when all of those are in sync, you are whole. So, and that's, again, my soapbox moment. So this is also, as we did, I know Rondrell is not aware of this, but in March, I think it was, when we had Women's History Month, we took the time to honor also some women in the community. And that was one of the reasons why I asked Elder Rondrell Moore to be on, because we wanted to honor him. Not only with men and mental health, but part of men's mental health is to let you know how much we appreciate you and what you do in the community. The fact that you are sitting behind a screen or a camera and young men get to see you is so huge. And the representation, and I'm speaking from, again, a mother of a Black son, that gets to see you. People brag about you that you have no idea, that you probably have no idea. Yes, and we, Elder Rondrell, we are so honored, first of all, to know you. You're such a great person. And then again, all that he does, all that he contributes, as you heard with the awards that he has gotten for his reports, that's just the bare minimum of what he does. He does so much, as he said, for the young people. He just does a lot. And he's so intelligent. I just want to keep on saying that. Again, to have an African-American man to not say it, I think that's huge, that you graduated summa cum laude. Do y'all know what summa cum laude is? Let's we want to let y'all know that this means it's top of the class. Now, yes, you have in high school, you have valedictorians and salutatorians. This is in college. You have those who have graduated with 3.8 GPAs and above. For all the years. Now, again, all the years, I got a few degrees. And I think my highest GPA is a 3.4 for all my years together.
That's wonderful.
That was my master's. That was my master's. But again, summa cum laude is huge. And so after they read his name, because I was at his graduation, if you don't remember, I was there. After they read his name, they said, summa cum laude. And we over here on the side screaming, yes, yes. We was just so excited. So anyway, I say all that because I get really excited when we are honoring our men. I want you to feel, again, great men, great emotion, great expression. We want you to know that we appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
If we haven't said enough, forgive us because we need to do more to let our men know that they are needed, that they are loved, and they are appreciated. And you are all of those things.
Well, thank you so much. I'll do that thing where you deflect and turn that, because I can't take it all on myself. Honestly, it's anything that I am and everything that I am that's of note comes from people other than me. It comes from my parents, comes from my mother who prayed, comes from my brothers, my sisters, comes from the church, comes from my leadership, comes from the people that I've worked with, comes from wonderful people like you, comes from wonderful people like your husband who helped put into me that I saw as examples when I was younger, coming up through college, and keeping it on and following Christ. And comes from wonderful people that I've worked with, and just a whole host of people. But most importantly, comes from God. And anything that I am, everything that I am, as the song saying, all that I am and ever hope to be, I owe it all to you. To God be the glory.
See, he keeps talking about songs, but he ain't saying nothing.
No, you get the gist. You know what it sounds like. I owe it all to God, because, and honestly, I'm grateful. It means a lot. I have a hard time like just sitting and taking it like, oh, thank you so much. I do, and yeah, kind of like what we talked about at the beginning of it, but it does mean a lot. It really does mean a lot. The fact that people, when it comes to news, for example, the fact that people watch, anytime somebody says, hey, you're on the news, even if it's not like a compliment, they could say, hey, you're on the news and I hate you or whatever. But if they're just like, hey, you're on the news, that's a blessing to me. That's a blessing, because you don't have to watch. Anything that I'm able to do for the people of God or just the church in general, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to be there. And so I feel like when people talk about stuff like that they're talking about somebody else. And so it's one of those things. But I thank you for the idea of this. I thank you for the idea of bringing on men to talk about this and to talk about something that's so important. I didn't see it when I was a kid. Well, now, obviously, the internet didn't exist like this back in the day. But even in general, I didn't see this. There wasn't a mental health night in our meetings. There wasn't a therapist that would come and say, hey, Black men, young Black men, you can come talk to us too.
Yes.
There was a school counselor, thank God for her, but it wasn't case specific. And so seeing this and doing this and being a part of this, I really do hope that somebody out there who maybe thought, maybe I can. And I think that they will. I think that they will because of what you're doing. And so that's the overall goal. But just thanks, I guess.
Oh, thank you. And so again, we're going to say we appreciate him. I know he just tried to push that back on me. I appreciate that you appreciate me. And I will say to you all, absolutely. It's as he said, Black men, Black women, in the faith community, you are definitely welcome to come and talk to me. Yeah. And again, if you don't, somebody please, because we don't want these statistics to keep rising. No. They are too high already. We've lost too many of our Black women, our Black men, our children, and our faith community of all races because of suffering and silence. And we no longer want to do that. So welcome again to another Draw Men's Life. If you know some men, because again, as he just mentioned, sometimes it's the men who have poured into people. We know that we got these holidays that are coming up. We got Juneteenth, of celebration of Black history and freedom. So we want to, make sure we say it's okay to be free from mental ailments too. Yeah. And also Father's Day, to celebrate men who have been great contributors to their families, to their families. So put those in the comments. Make sure that you highlight them, tag them in this video, because we want to let them know that we appreciate them, that we love them, and that they are needed. So thank you again,
thank you.
Rondrell.
Thank you, Brad. This is awesome. I love it.
So we honor Rondrell Moore once again for his great contribution in the community of Terre Haute and the surrounding counties.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have a great week. And